For years, Andrei Castravet and Elizabeth Potthast have been one of the most talked about couples in the 90-Day Fiancé universe. Their relationship has survived family conflicts, cultural differences, financial pressure, intense arguments, and plenty of speculation from viewers. But now, fresh divorce rumors are once again putting their marriage under the microscope. So, are Andrei and Elizabeth actually heading toward divorce? Or is this another case of fans reading too much into their relationship? First, it is important to separate confirmed information from online speculation. Recent relationship status coverage still lists Elizabeth and Andrei as married, with the couple living together in Florida. That means claims that the couple has officially divorced should not be treated as established fact unless the pair themselves or a reliable source confirms it. Still, the rumors are difficult to ignore because Andrei and Elizabeth have never had an ordinary relationship. From the beginning, their romance was surrounded by questions. Elizabeth met Andrei while traveling in Ireland, and their relationship quickly became serious. Andrei eventually moved to the United States on a K-1 visa, and the couple married in 2017. Their relationship later expanded with children and another wedding celebration in Moldova. Their marriage has also faced enormous pressure from Elizabeth's family. Viewers watched disagreements involving Andrei and the Potthast family become some of the most memorable conflicts in the franchise. At various points, Elizabeth's relatives questioned Andrei's personality, his intentions, and the way he treated Elizabeth. Andrei, meanwhile, openly pushed back against the criticism. That family tension eventually became part of the couple's identity on television. But there was an interesting twist. In a 2024 interview, Andrei and Elizabeth discussed how creating distance from some members of Elizabeth's family had actually reduced tension inside their marriage. Elizabeth indicated that having less family conflict around them brought more peace into their home. That detail matters when looking at today's divorce rumors. Because if the couple had already survived years of outside pressure, the question becomes whether something genuinely changed between Andrei and Elizabeth, or whether viewers are simply reacting to another wave of speculation. Another major factor is their children. Elizabeth and Andrei welcomed their daughter Eleanor in 2019, and later welcomed their son Leo in 2022. Their family life has therefore become much bigger than the relationship fans originally watched on television. For a couple with children, separating would obviously be a much more complicated decision than simply ending a romance. It would involve parenting arrangements, finances, living situations, and the emotional impact on the entire family. And then there is the phrase causing even more curiosity, new marriage twist. What could that mean? Some fans interpret the phrase as a possible new beginning between Andrei and Elizabeth, rather than a literal new marriage to different partners. After everything they have experienced, a relationship reset could look very different from the dramatic storyline viewers might expect. Instead of divorce, the real twist could be that the couple is attempting to rebuild their relationship away from the cameras and family drama. There is also a larger issue with social media rumors. Reality stars can post less frequently, change the type of content they share, or simply spend more time away from public attention. Fans may immediately interpret a missing couple photo or a change in posting habits as evidence of a breakup. But that does not automatically mean a marriage has ended. In fact, Elizabeth and Andrei have repeatedly demonstrated that their private family life can be very different from the conflicts shown on television. Their history makes the situation especially complicated. Viewers remember Andrei's strong personality and the battles involving Elizabeth's relatives. They remember arguments over money, family loyalty, and expectations. They also remember the moments when the couple stood together despite everyone around them questioning their decisions. That is why every new rumor attracts so much attention. If the couple were actually heading toward divorce, fans would likely expect some concrete indication, an official statement, court documentation, or a direct confirmation from Elizabeth or Andrei. Until something like that appears, the divorce story remains speculation. And there is another emotional layer to this story. Elizabeth recently experienced the devastating loss of her father, Chuck Potthast. In November 2025, she publicly described her grief and said she and Andrei were trying to keep their children happy and maintain a normal routine during that difficult period. That context makes simplistic assumptions about their relationship even more dangerous. A couple can experience grief, stress, disagreements, or periods of reduced public interaction without automatically being headed for divorce. So, where does that leave the shocking headline? At the moment, the biggest twist may actually be that the divorce rumors remain unconfirmed while available relationship status reports continue to describe Andrei and Elizabeth as married. Their story has always been unpredictable. They went from meeting overseas to building a life in America, confronting family battles, raising children, and becoming one of the franchise's most recognizable couples. Could their marriage eventually face another major turning point? Absolutely. No relationship is immune to change, but claiming that a divorce has already happened would go beyond what is currently confirmed. For now, the real story is the uncertainty. Fans are watching closely. Social media is generating theories, and Andrei and Elizabeth remain one of the couples everyone wants answers from. Whether the next chapter brings a breakup, reconciliation, or simply a quieter family life away from the spotlight, one thing is certain. The Andrei and Elizabeth story is far from boring. And if they do make a major announcement, 90 Day Fiancé fans will be watching every detail. The speculation surrounding Andrei Castravet and Elizabeth Potthast is becoming even more intense, but there is one major question that continues to dominate the conversation. What is actually happening behind the scenes? Fans of 90 Day Fiancé know that Andrei and Elizabeth have never been a quiet couple. Their relationship has repeatedly attracted attention because of Andrei's outspoken personality, Elizabeth's complicated family dynamics, and the pressure that comes with raising a family while living in the public eye. Now, however, viewers are looking beyond the old family arguments. They want to know whether something new has changed. One reason the latest rumors have gained traction is the simple fact that reality television relationships are constantly being analyzed through social media. A photo disappears, a couple spends time apart, or one person posts something emotional, and suddenly thousands of viewers begin creating theories that can make it extremely difficult to distinguish a genuine relationship update from internet speculation. Andrei and Elizabeth have dealt with this kind of attention for years. Their marriage was never presented as a perfect fairy tale. Instead, viewers saw two strong personalities trying to build a life together while dealing with disagreements from almost every direction. Andrei often wanted to make decisions his own way, while Elizabeth had to balance her husband's expectations with her connection to her family. That created an unusual relationship dynamic. At times, Elizabeth appeared caught between two worlds. On one side was the family she had known her entire life. On the other was the husband she had chosen to build a future with. That conflict became one of the biggest storylines connected to their relationship. But there is something fans sometimes forget. Television captures only selected moments. A dramatic argument that lasts a few minutes can become a major storyline, while months of peaceful family life may never appear on screen. That means viewers should be cautious about using old episodes as proof of what is happening today. The same applies to rumors about a possible new marriage. Some fans have interpreted the phrase as evidence that Andrei or Elizabeth could eventually move on with someone else. But there is currently no reliable confirmation that either person has entered a new marriage. Instead, the phrase has fueled speculation about what their next chapter could look like. Could they renew their commitment? Could they make a major family decision? Could they step away from reality television? Or could they simply be trying to protect their private life? Any of those possibilities would create a completely different storyline. There is also the financial side of their lives. Andrei has spent years trying to establish himself in the United States, while Elizabeth has continued building her own public presence. When money, work, parenting, and extended family issues all overlap, even a strong marriage can experience pressure. But pressure is not the same thing as divorce. That distinction is extremely important. A relationship can go through difficult periods without ending permanently. Andrei and Elizabeth have already demonstrated that they can survive situations that might have destroyed other couples. Their ability to remain together through family disputes is one reason some fans refuse to believe the latest rumors. They argue that if the couple survived everything shown on 90 Day Fiancé, another wave of online speculation may not be enough to separate them. Others have a completely different opinion. Some viewers believe the constant drama surrounding the relationship could eventually become exhausting. They question whether years of arguments, public criticism, and reality TV pressure can continue without taking a toll. And that is where the story becomes genuinely interesting. Because neither side can completely predict what happens inside someone else's marriage. Only Andrei and Elizabeth know what their private relationship currently looks like. Another major question concerns their children. When two people become parents, their decisions are no longer only about themselves. Every major relationship choice can affect the family's daily routine. That could explain why a couple might choose to keep serious issues private rather than immediately discussing them online. It is also possible that Elizabeth and Andrei have simply decided to reduce the amount of personal information they share with viewers. That would not necessarily mean something terrible has happened. In fact, privacy can sometimes be a sign that public figures are trying to protect their family from unnecessary attention. The most important thing for fans is therefore to watch for direct statements instead of relying entirely on rumors. If Elizabeth speaks publicly about her marriage, that would carry far more weight than anonymous social media claims. If Andrei addresses the situation himself, fans would finally have an opportunity to hear his side of the story. Until then, theories will continue circulating, and there is no shortage of possible explanations. Maybe the couple is stronger than ever and simply keeping things private. Maybe they are experiencing disagreements that they do not want to share. Maybe they are considering major changes in their lives. Or maybe the entire divorce narrative is being exaggerated by online speculation. The uncertainty is exactly what keeps fans talking. Andrei has always been a controversial figure among 90-Day Fiancé viewers. Some fans appreciate his confidence and willingness to defend his family. Others have criticized his approach during conflicts. Elizabeth has faced her own criticism, particularly when viewers believe she allowed family problems to become too involved in her marriage. Yet despite all of that, the pair continued building their family. That history cannot simply be erased because of a rumor. The next chapter could therefore be much more complicated than a simple divorce or stay together storyline. It could involve a major change in priorities. It could involve a decision about reality television. It could involve moving, expanding their family, changing their careers, or establishing stronger boundaries with relatives. Any of those developments could completely change how viewers understand their relationship. The conversation around Andrei Castravet and Elizabeth Potthast has entered another unpredictable phase, and this time, fans are asking a different question. Could the biggest change in their relationship have nothing to do with divorce at all? For years, viewers have watched Andrei and Elizabeth navigate situations that would challenge almost any couple. Their relationship has evolved from a controversial romance into a family with children, careers, financial responsibilities, and a complicated history in front of television cameras. That history makes every new rumor feel bigger than it might actually be. One of the biggest challenges for reality stars is that the public often expects constant updates. Fans become accustomed to seeing birthdays, vacations, family gatherings, romantic photos, and everyday moments online. When that visibility suddenly changes, people naturally begin asking questions. But silence can have many explanations. A couple might be busy raising their children. They might be concentrating on work. They might be dealing with family matters. Or they may simply want certain parts of their lives to remain private. That last possibility is especially interesting in Andrei and Elizabeth's case because so much of their relationship has already been exposed to the public. Their disagreements have been discussed on television. Their family conflicts have become storylines. Their financial struggles have been examined by viewers. Even personal decisions have sometimes become subjects of debate. Eventually, that level of exposure can make privacy feel extremely valuable. And perhaps that is where the latest mystery begins. Instead of asking whether Andrei and Elizabeth have secretly ended their marriage, fans may need to ask whether the couple is changing the way they present their relationship publicly. That would be a major shift. A reality TV couple does not necessarily have to document every moment of their marriage to prove they are still together. They can build a quieter life. They can focus on their children. They can work on their careers. They can spend time away from cameras. And they can decide which family matters belong online and which ones should remain behind closed doors. There is another important factor. The couple's relationship has already survived intense scrutiny from people outside their marriage. Elizabeth's family has played a major role in their television storyline, while Andrei has often been portrayed as someone unwilling to back down during confrontation. That combination created explosive television. But what happens when the cameras are gone? The answer may be completely different. A couple who appears argumentative on television can have a stable private relationship. Likewise, couples who look perfect online can experience serious problems behind closed doors. That is why social media analysis alone can never provide a complete picture. The rumored new marriage angle also deserves careful attention. There is no confirmed evidence that Andrei or Elizabeth has secretly married another person. So instead of treating that theory as fact, it makes more sense to consider what a new beginning could mean. Perhaps the couple is entering a new phase of marriage. Maybe they are setting new boundaries. Maybe they are rebuilding their lives around their children. Maybe they are changing how they handle family disagreements. Or perhaps they are simply trying to move beyond the conflicts that once dominated their storyline. A relationship can have a new chapter without having a new spouse. That distinction could completely change the way fans interpret the rumors. There is also the possibility that the attention itself is creating unnecessary pressure. Imagine constantly seeing strangers debate whether your marriage is working. Every photograph becomes evidence. Every missing photograph becomes evidence. Every vacation becomes evidence. Every argument becomes evidence. Even a normal disagreement can be transformed into a headline. For a couple with children, that environment could become exhausting. This may explain why many reality personalities become increasingly selective about what they share. They understand that once something is posted publicly, they no longer control how people interpret it. Andrei, in particular, has never been someone who easily disappears from a controversy. His direct personality has made him a frequent target of both criticism and support. Elizabeth, meanwhile, has often had to navigate competing expectations from her husband, relatives, and viewers. That is an enormous amount of pressure for one person. Yet the couple has continued moving forward. That fact should not be ignored when discussing divorce rumors. Their relationship has already experienced multiple turning points, but they repeatedly found ways to continue as a family. Of course, that does not guarantee what will happen next. No outside observer can promise that a relationship will last forever. But there is an important difference between saying the future is uncertain and saying the divorce is confirmed. At this point, those are two completely different statements. Fans should also remember that reality television frequently revisits old conflicts. A disagreement from years ago can suddenly become relevant again when a new episode, interview, or social media post brings attention back to it. That can create the impression that a relationship is falling apart when the underlying issue may already have been resolved. For Andrei and Elizabeth, the past continues to follow them because their most dramatic moments became part of 90-Day Fiancé history. That makes it easy for viewers to connect current events with old storylines. But people change, families change, priorities change, and marriages change too. The couple they were during their earliest appearances may not be the same couple they are today. Perhaps they have learned how to communicate better. Perhaps they have become more protective of their children. Perhaps they have learned to separate family disagreements from their marriage. Or perhaps they have discovered that life outside reality television is more important than maintaining a public image. Any of those developments could explain why their relationship looks different to viewers. And then there is the possibility of another television appearance. If Andrei and Elizabeth return to the franchise or discuss their relationship publicly, fans could finally receive answers to some of the questions surrounding them. Would they address the divorce rumors? Would they laugh them off? Would they reveal a major change? Or would they simply refuse to discuss their private life? Any response would immediately generate headlines. Until then, however, the smartest approach is patience. Rumors can spread within minutes, while real confirmation can take much longer. The internet rewards dramatic claims, but relationships are rarely that simple. Andrei and Elizabeth have spent years proving that their story cannot be reduced to one argument, one photograph, or one rumor. Their marriage has included love, conflict, family pressure, parenthood, career decisions, and countless public opinions. So perhaps the real twist is not a secret divorce or mysterious new spouse. Perhaps the real twist is that Andrei and Elizabeth are entering a completely different era of their lives, one where protecting their family matters more than explaining every decision to the public. For now, the rumors remain just that, rumors. The future of their marriage belongs to Andrei and Elizabeth, not social media commentators. And if a genuine announcement eventually comes, it will be far more meaningful when it comes directly from the people living the story. Until that day, fans can speculate, but they should remember that speculation is not confirmation. After everything this couple has already survived, the next chapter could still surprise everyone.